Well, it's been a very busy few days. Um, on my birthday, 15th of March, I ran Hands of Change Cafe, which uh, was quite busy, trying to keep a lot of balls in the air at the same time. It felt quite stressful this time, and I'm not absolutely sure why. Because I think everybody that came to the cafe where they get free food and lots of other freebies, I think everybody that came to the cafe would have thought, gosh, this is running really smoothly. Whereas there are those of us involved who are, like the proverbial deck sailing on the water with feet going like 100 miles an hour underneath. But at the cafe, someone arrived with a lovely cake that Jenny had asked her to deliver with some candles. Not quite my age, of course. And people sang happy birthday, which really embarrassed me. It's not my thing to do that, but I went along with it. So on Saturday, I was 75. I can't quite believe that because I'm actually still 25 in my head. But of course, the body is not always willing to act at that age. But I feel at 75, I feel very sharp still. Maybe other people will have a different point of view about that, but I just feel very sharp and I'm still very curious about things. And then on Saturday evening, which is my birthday, of course, still, I went to a wonderful concert at our church given by a gospel choir called Joyous Spirit. And it was a real faith lift. So on Sunday, I didn't really know what to do because it was obviously church day, and I haven't been going to church as regularly as I used to. There's particular reasons for that, which I may talk about at some time. But what happened was that my friend Ruth told me to ring her when I was up and dressed, and she would come down, we'd have coffee and maybe take the day from there. What was really interesting though was that Ruth arrived and we had a cup of coffee in the conservatory, which is, even at this time of the year, very warm on sunny days. And we had an incredible discussion about God, about our views of God, our views of Scripture, how we see God at work around us. And it was quite a conversation which I have been talking about doing that sort of thing rather than preaching from the front of a church for a very long time. I'm far more interested these days when I lead a service that although I can give what I call a starter to 5 on a text and how I see it and how it might apply today, I've become far more interested in what other people have to say in that situation and to hear people in the congregation, as we call it, what their view and what speaks to them from the texts. And I do believe that if institutional church is to survive, this is probably the way forward. It's a well-trodden way. I do believe that the views of people and the way the text of Scripture speaks to them is as important and as valuable as anybody with a dog collar or even higher up the echelons of the church. It is what I call a reading from below. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I just mean it's not a top-down view of scripture being given out. When I went back to university to study theology a second time as a postgraduate, I was very much influenced by liberation theology. And of course that grew out of groups in South America who gathered to read the Bible and to gain an understanding from it from the ordinary folk in villages and towns. And as always, I probably have something more to say about that in another video. So Monday, I wrote a reference for someone that I know very well, and always take great care over any references I write. And it took me some time to do that. I also had an invite to go away for a long weekend at the end of June to a cottage in Shrewsbury, and I'm obviously going to say more about that at some point. And then today, it was my turn to open up our church for our toddler group. Now that has been quite a journey and a steep learning curve, because this time last year we didn't have any toddler group, and somebody in the church said, I'm sure we can do that. I'm sure we can set up a toddler group. So originally, after last Easter, in the middle of April, we began our toddler group with just 2 mums who came and brought their toddlers. We were offered gifts of really good toys in good condition. Colin, who is an amazing guy in our church, made an old cupboard. He did some work to an old cupboard so that we could store all these wonderful toys just off from the main hall. And we had a major development in December when we bought a soft play area. It was in a cafe that had to close, and it is quite a story, quite a faith story as to how we acquired it. But now it's been installed and is proving to be quite popular. Today we must have had 15 families in, some mums, some grandmums, there was a dad there, and our wonderful helpers to run it. We're quite famous for offering cake. Now, I have to say that the cake was originally aimed at the mums as a bit of a treat. So they get free tea and coffee and cake. But the cake is proving rather popular with the children as well. So we did that today, and I was so grateful that my friend Barbara, after 4 months, came back to help a toddler. She's a wonderful friend to me, and she'd made me a birthday cake, another birthday cake, which I've still got half of in the kitchen, and I will be taking that to my grandchildren on Thursday. And she also gave me some cards. Barbara is an artist. She paints wonderful pictures, some of which are put up in our church. But today she gave me a pack of cards that she produces from her own paintings that I can use for birthdays and that sort of thing. It's been a really busy few days, and I have to say that I am looking forward now to a bit of downtime from the church, and this is the way my life is going at the moment. There are certain things I am committed to, but I am taking time and space to consider what I should be doing, what I can hopefully back off from and hand over to other people. I like to think that I'm one of these people, whether I've worked outside the church or for the church, that I can hand over whatever I may have initiated, hopefully grown with volunteers, and that can function happily without me being involved. In fact, I happen to think that that is one of the signs of good leadership. Now, that's not to say I'm a brilliant leader at all, but I do happen to think that to make something sustainable, any initiative in the church or outside it, you do have to set it up in such a way that other people can take it over and take it forward and maybe change it and do what they think is best. So tonight I'm going to just put my feet up. I've got a day to myself tomorrow. I've already done some washing. And then on Thursday, what I'm really, really looking forward to is a day over at Lydia's in Peastown. I shall be looking after the twins for the day while Dan and Lydia are at work. And I shall probably stay over if I'm invited to dinner so that I see my gorgeous grandson after his day at preschool. So yeah, a little bit of downtime now, and yeah, a little bit of self-care, which is always needed and which I'm not terribly good at. So I think that's all for now.